Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's guest is Stefanie Modri. And today's episode, how one nurse who knew exactly what she wanted is working her dream career.
That are very similar or exactly to something I had dreamed up. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them. Great. Because also that means I get to cross it off my list. It's something I don't have to do. It's something I don't have to circle back to ever. But it's, it's really been an awesome journey. But I will say, I have been doing this while teaching 12-hour classes with clinical, while doing 12 hours at the hospital, working night shift, working day shift, having teenagers during COVID. And the family has been amazing. My husband has been super supportive, but I'd come home and sleep for 2 hours and then show up to give a pitch to an investor, which is like waking up at 11 p.m. to give a pitch to an investor. I lost a lot of sleep. I had to get real creative when I was where I was doing things. Sometimes take a call in my car and turn the background on to make it look right, like I wasn't in my car, because back then it wasn't cool to be doing things from your car, but now It's totally fine to film videos from there. Mm-hmm. And but it was also a really neat era because I think that we all developed a lot of flexibility as the technology changed for us to communicate.
Nurses, are you burnt out, frustrated, looking for something new? Are you looking for more? Nurses, are you ready to feel the sun? You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Your nursing license is your key to freedom. Join the Nurse Shark Academy at the nursesharkacademy.biz today. Hi, and welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's guest is Stefanie Modri of Vasowatch Incorporated. Welcome to the show, Stefanie.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming. So we always start off our show by asking our nurses, what made you become a nurse?
So I've always been fascinated by pregnancy. Since I was 5, I would see a pregnant bump and be like, oh my gosh, there's a baby in there, and just became enamored by it. And when I learned about what a midwife was, I would spend so much time in the library when I was 14 years old, researching midwives. What do they do? How can I go to school to become one? And that was my big drive to go to nursing school. But also when I was little, my grandmother had different times where she was very sick, and my family would send me over there to keep her company and help take care of her. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather sometimes would have to go away for a couple of days, and they would send me over there to go be with her. And it felt very comfortable, but it was interesting that they would send a child over to help take care of the grandmother. I don't know, but I think a little bit of that also helped to guide it. And so when I was in nursing school, thoroughly loved all of it, but I didn't really initially think of myself as I'm going to be a nurse. I just thought I'm going to be nursing and then, work for a little bit and then go become a midwife. But in my junior year, I had my OB clinical, and I loved it so much. And I just remember I was at a birth and helping a woman with a labor, and then she got her epidural. And I was like a football player on a field, just 1,000% into the game, into the work. I don't even remember the other nurse in the room. I don't remember her at all. I only remember me with the patient, and I very well possibly took over a whole bunch. It probably was too big for my britches at that moment. But I loved it, and I said, this is where I want to be. And ever since that day, I was perfectly okay with someone else catching the babies. And I got really, really lucky after I graduated from the College of New Jersey. Shout out to TCNJ, class of 98. And I got really lucky because I applied to a random job in Boston. I didn't even know what Mass General was. And I got the job as a postpartum nurse right out of nursing school. And then I've stayed in OB ever since then. And I was at Mass General for 7 years, working postpartum, normal nursery, antepartum, teaching childbirth ed, and also working in labor and delivery. So it was an amazing, amazing start to my career. I didn't know that I was going to like step into this pile of gold when I got that job, but that was really awesome.
Well, first of all, kudos for you for loving OB because that was not my specialty at all. But I wanted to say, conventional wisdom that we get from in nursing school, you must go to med surge, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't. You went right into the specialty that you wanted to be in, and I did the same thing. I worked as a tech in med surge and knew that's not where I wanted to be, and so I got into psychiatry right away, and that was my first nursing job out of school, was going right into psychiatry, and I don't regret that at all because that gave me a good foundation and I for what I'm doing now. And I think for you, that was a passion that you had
Yeah.
and you were able to set your intention and you got what you wanted.
It really was a passion for me, and something also which you'll probably, you'll definitely learn more about me during this podcast, but I sort of go about things in an unconventional way. So when it came time to graduate and look for a job, I knew that I either wanted to go to New York City or Boston. I'm from South Jersey. Spoiler alert, I moved back to South Jersey after my 7 years in Boston, but I just knew like I wanted to go to something big. But I also knew there were thousands of other nurses that were graduating at that time. So I said to myself, how can I set myself apart? So what I did was I went to where the business school students go to learn how to get a job. And I went to their little 3-hour workshop. And one of them said, you need to market yourself. So what I did was I made a 3-fold brochure.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like, it was as if I was interviewing myself. It was like, well, what interesting projects has Stefanie Modri done in nursing school? And I talked about the different projects I did in nursing school, like doing a 60-page complete evaluation of the borough of Princeton, New Jersey, on all different topics that no one else is going to do besides nursing. Nursing is going to look at a space or a topic in a different way than everyone else.
Right.
So I kind of got some more mileage from the projects I did in school. I built that on there. I talked about the community service work that I did, probably some of my passion points. I don't even know where that file is right now, but it'd be fun to pull up. And I ended up, I can't recall, I don't think I could attach a document at that point, but somehow, I think I followed it up with a snail mail, sent it to the nurse recruiter. I still know his name, Steve Toronto. He called me up and he said, I have never seen a nurse market herself like this. Would you like a job interview? I was like, yes. So I pass on a similar type of wisdom on to my nursing students. And I tell them, the people who are interviewing you would ultimately love you to do more than your 3 shifts a week. They would love it if you became some part of leadership. You did something in a committee. So I said, let them see you in that light, because you can do that within, a year or two. Put together a little portfolio, and it could be something that if you're going in person, you actually have pages that they can flip through, or by your domain, put it on there, like I own StefanieModri.com. I would put up several of my projects up there, or even if you were to send them over to the folks as an email attachment. But let them see your writing style, let them see your creativity, your ability to write academically. Let them learn more about you and how well-rounded you are, besides just that you have an RN behind your name, because we are all more than just our RN. So it was I'm thankful for that little tiny pivot going down the hall to the business session.
Well, that's kind of funny that you picked up these insights from the non-clinical business folks, because I think as nurses we don't think about the business of being a nurse, and whether or not you know it, your license is actually your business. You know, that
Yeah.
is your business as a professional nurse, and if you don't have a license, you don't have a business, right? No matter
Mhm.
what you're doing, whether it's going to work at the bedside as a staff nurse or being in management or leadership or owning your own business. It's that license that oftentimes helps you to open those doors. And I think that was wonderful that you took that initiative to learn how to market yourself. How was that, those marketing skills that you've learned, how has that helped you through your nursing career? You said you left Mass General. Where did you end up next?
Yeah. So we left Mass General. I mean, I love Mass General. I would have retired there, loved every second of it. And it never felt like, even though I worked really hard days, every day I was happy. I loved it so much. But we had a baby and we didn't live near family. We realized we really wanted to be near family. So we moved back to South Jersey. But we took a little small pivots. And shortly before I left, I saw a mom there who came to do a travel assignment. It was with her 5-year-old and her husband before he too went to kindergarten. And she said, "We decided to travel for a year and we brought our child along and we're going to see the country." So that sparked a moment in me where I ended up making moves to be a travel nurse down to South Jersey to just get my foot in the door. But I marketed myself to get to Hawaii as a travel nurse. And I reached out to my connections, and I'll tell you, if anyone knows me, they know I love to connect people and I love to keep people still close to me, because you just never know how we may need each other someday. So what happened was, shortly before I left Mass General, a one of our neonatologists and one of our neonatal nurse practitioners moved out to Hawaii. So I kind of kept that in back of my mind. And even though I don't have anything to do with the NICU, I reached out to her and said, "Hey, can you put in a good word to the charge nurse for me, to the nurse manager, because I'd love to do a travel nurse assignment out there." And she hooked me up, and it was very, very, very. I was very appreciative of it, and it was an amazing experience. So then after that, I ended up working in our community hospital for a couple of years, but um, it was not a good fit. It was not a good fit with my personality and the type of work experiences I came from, coming from really academic settings, and also how the team members interacted with each other and how the patients were being taken care of. So I'm completely honest with everyone. I left on a mental health leave because the work area was so stressful because of how patients are being taken care of. And I saw some things that I should maybe see once in a 40-year career. I saw them a couple of times in just a few years. And it was not a great place. So I took some time off to figure out what, and then ever since I've been working in Philadelphia. I work at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, where we have a special delivery unit where it was the first in the world to have mothers delivering in a children's hospital who have been diagnosed with a baby having a birth anomaly. So the
Wow.
baby, yeah, so the mothers are delivering very close to the pediatricians, close by the surgeons, and we have a incredibly close relationship with the cardiac ICU and the NICU, so that they are there at our births to be able to then stabilize the baby, take them. But we try to keep the birth as normal as possible, and I'm very proud that our unit has won awards for the care that we give. And we have so many mothers who say that despite the reason they had to deliver at CHOP with us, out of
Mm-hmm.
all their births, ours was their favorite. And that really, really means a lot, because no one wants to have to deliver at our hospital for their first choice to have a baby, but they sometimes just need to. But we do fetal surgeries there. We do palliative care births and full wraparound services, antenatal, postpartum, labor and delivery, fetal surgeries. So it's a really, really interesting place. Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Sounds very innovative. And it just occurred to me, wouldn't it make sense for women to deliver in the same place where the child can get specialized care? That
Yeah.
really makes sense.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And it's pretty neat when something that is innovative actually becomes more the common thing to do, or that makes sense thing. Yeah, absolutely. So the doctor that created it, this was part of his I guess he kind of went to like business school or something like that. This was his project, and he's very well respected at the hospital, and they listened to him and worked several years to be able to create it. And coming up on this June, the unit will be open for 18 years. And in 9 days, I will have been there for 17 years. But I will tell you, in terms of the marketing, like we spoke about,
Mhm.
when I went there, I had an actual portfolio book, and I printed out nursing research that I did at my previous hospital. I printed out ways that my time at Mass General was connected to I made connections to the leader of that unit, that physician. He trained there at Mass General. Another one of our fetal surgeons trained there at Mass General. And I was like, you know what? Let me put these connections in here so they can see the sort of the caliber of nurse that they're getting that could reach beyond what a resume could.
That is brilliant. And I was just talking with someone about this very thing, about getting your portfolio together, not relying on your employer to keep all your important records. You do it yourself so that you can do those things and create those markets, those projects that you're on, those committees that you sit on. Write up a short summary and put that aside and use that for when you're ready to go for your promotion or your next
Mhm.
raise or your next position, and you want to go somewhere else. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. And it sounds like you've done a lot of important work with
Thank
mothers
you.
and babies. And so, yeah,
Thank
if
you.
you found your passion and you stayed with it, I think that's wonderful.
I did. And then when I was at that community hospital, I always thought, I want to go back and get my master's. And originally, when I was graduating from nursing school, I actually got accepted into the BU School of Public Health. I was going to go get my MPH and work at the same time. Then I got the job and I was like, you know what? I think I just want to work. I want to be a nurse and just fully dive into that. So it wasn't until 10 years later when I said, okay, I'm ready to go back to school. But for me, I was okay not being a midwife. I wasn't interested in being an NP. Didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I saw a brochure about a program at Drexel, and it was the Innovation and Intra slash Entrepreneurship program in advanced practice nursing. And I liken it to like business school for nurses. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's it. That is where I want to be. So I ended up graduating there in 2014. And I also did that very unconventionally, how I ended up finishing up. But their goal is by the time you graduate, you need to have a business, business plan and all that. And I opened up my first business 3 weeks after starting school.
Oh,
And
wow.
I ended up transitioning that into a different type of business to serve nurses. The first one was more of a public health. The second one was more to serve nurses. And then the third one I opened has nothing to do with healthcare. And it's more like my fun business. And I sell American made garden tools.
Oh, wow. Wait,
And
where did you get up
where
to?
did that come from?
That's the whole story right there.
Yeah.
Where did you decide to sell garden tools? What was that
Yeah.
about?
So I really, really love to garden. It makes me very happy. I love being in the dirt, being in the mud, everything about it. But my family, my grandfather was very entrepreneurial, and there you go, was very entrepreneurial, and he started a business that now is sell products all over the country and internationally. And he he passed away, high-end landscaping tools, particularly like for the landscaping industry, but homeowners have discovered us and they're like, we really like it. And it's all American made in our spot down in South Jersey. So in 2012, I came to my mom. I just had like an epiphany. I said, Mom, we don't really market to like homeowners, or the fact that, hey, it's all American made. Can I have my own little, online boutique selling them? She was like, yeah, sure. So it's literally called the American Garden Tool Company. The website was available. I think I even bought the website before I asked my mom permission. And and since then we were on an ABC Made in America segment. I've done the Philadelphia Flower Show for 3 years. We have 250,000 people come in through there in 10 days. I always sell on my website. I have, let me think, and I cultivate products that are only made in America. So we've had Maine, Illinois, Wisconsin, but 75% are made within Philadelphia or within South Jersey. An hour from there. And so that means a lot, especially when we're going to the Philadelphia Flower Show and we have so many people from our region. And my first year, it was like, hey, let's see if I can make this goal. So I met that goal. My second year, I wanted to double it. I over doubled it. I did 2.5x. And my next year, I did 4x from my first year. And wow. I kind of have a number of what I want to do, but that's what I call it, my fun business, because I always say, like, if I want to have a sale tomorrow, I don't have to ask anyone permission. If I want to start adding socks onto my line, I don't have to ask anyone permission. I can just add it. And so it's been very fun prepping for the show this year, because I've been incorporating a lot of my local friends who make beautiful products that are all garden relevant. And I'm so excited to bring them here. Like just this afternoon, I was at my friend who is, she's a ceramicist, and she's making these beautiful little, like, I call them it's almost like a bee house. So they can hibernate in during the winter so we can protect the bee population. And it's so adorable. It's so wonderful. But there's nothing stressful about that. It's just a fun thing. But I will tell you, our booth is usually filled with people chatting with me and my husband, and we love talking with our customers. And we're not just about the sale. I realized just this last year that I treat my interaction just as if I'm a nurse to them. So I meet them and I ask them an open-ended question. And I say, tell me about your soil. And everyone goes, oh, and they have some, like, either they love their soil or some agony about their soil and what they're trying to overcome so that they can make their garden better. Or I say, tell me about the project you're working on. And then they spill their guts about what project they want to do. And hopefully there is some fit for a tool that I have for them. But it feels a bit like therapy for them to be able to just have someone ask an open-ended question. And genuinely, I am very interested in what they're doing. And so to us, my husband and I, it's a really beautiful human to human interaction experience that we get to have. It happens to be in the presence of a bunch of tools and other fun things, but we really we love the interaction with them. And I think our customers feel it as well.
I think that's great, because this is very important. You're taking your nursing skills that you've learned and you're applying it to a business that is really has nothing to do with nursing. And so our listeners need to hear that you don't have to stop using those skills that you build as a nurse. In fact, they lend themselves to business. So I wanted to, since we're talking about business now, I wanted to ask you about the Vasowatch. How did you get into doing that business, and what happened there? Just tell me what's happening. How did you decide that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
So seeing how my grandfather started with nothing, and he was an immigrant from Germany to create this very, very well-respected business, a few things stuck in my head. I love the idea of creating something once and producing it over and over and over again. That is very satisfying to me. And number two, in nursing, we're always super creative. But And it could be the way we are like psychologically working with a patient, the way that we are educating them, the way that we are coaching, the way that we can literally problem solve to get a needle into a vein to get blood out that no one else is able to. But we get little high fives in the room, or maybe a high five in the hall. And yeah, that feels good, but we have so much more potential within us to make something that isn't just a one-time Band-Aid fix or something, but to actually make a product that could be helping thousands of people at the exact same time. To make that leap is hard, like period. It's hard. But having a mix of head down, blinders up, get it done, do not be persuaded, and a mix of pay attention to how other people get things done differently than you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid of the pivots that you might need to do. That's okay. I welcome the pivots, not afraid of them. And oh my gosh, I forgot the question. That happens in perimenopause.
That's all right. No,
to help like thousands at once really makes a big difference. And also, we see the problems in a way, and we assess the problems in a way that no one else can do, and no one else even knows about. Like an issue related to an incontinent older woman and what that means to her, and how we could have something that could be more helpful to honor the patient's dignity, but also make the nursing tasks easier. We see those gaps. Now, being able to connect with more scientists and engineers of all different types of engineers, that to me is something where I've been able to connect with them to really solve problems, because they don't know about the problem that I've got going on over here. And I don't know exactly always how to get my solution to come to fruition into something I can hold in my hand or see in a computer. So that's where us working together is very helpful. Yeah. So I think that if I can give some advice, don't feel like you will have to do it all yourself. And it's okay if you're not the expert of everything in the room all at once. Now, I can tell you, I do all of my website work. I do all of my tax work. I do all of my marketing work, with my American Garden Tool company. But I have other folks who come on in Vasowatch to help out with that stuff. Because that's a different shape of a business. But when you're just new and starting out, it is good to learn some of those tools so that you don't have to spend so much money on them. But it's also good to connect with really great people. There are wonderful engineers who want to solve problems, but if they don't know where the problems are like existing, then they can't help you. So tap into that if you can. I'm lucky at the university. I have amazing connections to be able to reach out to folks who are curious and interested. Plus, I have amazing students who reach out to me and want to be a part of what I'm working on.
So what is Vasowatch? So for those who are listening, they may want to know, what is Vasowatch and what is it that you do with this?
Yeah, so Vasowatch, oh darn it, I wish I could pause and run downstairs and go get something. I could show it to you. So Vasowatch is actually software as a medical device. It is software that we created to predict a woman's risk for uterine atony. Atony is when your uterus has low tone, so it's kind of like boggy like this after the baby comes out, and it should be firm like a grapefruit or a softball. This software predicts that a woman will have an atonic uterus, therefore will be much more likely to have a postpartum hemorrhage. And a woman, so a few stats, over 225 women die per day globally because just of postpartum hemorrhage. She can die in minutes to hours. In the US, it is one of the top causes of death within the first 24 hours of childbirth. 90% of the time it's been deemed preventable because there was too much delay in recognition and action. But also the current standard of care is missing 4 to 7 women out of every 10 who go on to have a hemorrhage. Those 4 to 7 women have been labeled as low risk. Really, they should have been labeled as a high risk so that the team can do all of their important preparations in advance. So this is about informing the team so that they can take all their steps, which include about 10 different steps to get ready for this birth in the safest way possible. And it's everywhere from teamwork, communication with the blood bank, putting in a second IV, determining which medications she can have and can't have, what order are we going to give it in, and even letting our higher acuity doctors, such as our anesthesiologist, letting them know as well, and bringing in an extra nurse into the room to specifically be managing the medications going in and closed loop communication with the provider. So the goal is that if we are prepared and we act sooner, we should be able to prevent about 60% of the hemorrhages, provide a 4-to-1 return on investment for the hospital system, reduce costs, reduce trauma to the patient, and also reduce trauma to the healthcare members as well.
That's wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
we will in the show notes, we will have a link to your website so you can get to that. But what is the website that they can go to if they're interested in learning more about Vasowatch?
Sure. So that's www.vasowatch.com. And I'll tell you, we created the name because vaso referring to the blood vessels, like vasodilation, a vasoconstriction, and then watch. Watch actually refers to both a noun and a verb because we're watching what's happening with the blood vessels, with the heart. But also, when we did our feasibility study, we put a smartwatch on all the women when they came in for labor and got consented, and it stayed on until 24 hours postpartum. And we had a little app on there to collect all of their heart rate data, both beat to beat and waveform. And that's how we started out. So I came up with the name Vasowatch.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So you've given us some great advice throughout this process. But if you had one piece of advice that you would give to someone, a nurse that is considering going into entrepreneurship, what would it be?
The common thing I say is just stay focused. And it was one of the best pieces of advice. When I graduated from my master's program, I sat on a couple of ideas for a few years. And I actually, when I finally was like, hey, I want to do something, I had 14 product ideas. Had them in a little PowerPoint. And one person gave the advice of, okay, cool, these are great. Pick one. And I have always stuck with postpartum hemorrhage. And it's funny, along the way, I've seen other businesses pop up that are very similar or exactly to something I had dreamed up. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them. Great. Because also that means I get to cross it off my list. It's something I don't have to do. It's something I don't have to circle back to ever. But it's, it's really been an awesome journey. But I will say, I have been doing this while teaching 12-hour classes with clinical, while doing 12 hours at the hospital, working night shift, working day shift, having teenagers during COVID. And the family has been amazing. My husband has been super supportive, but I'd come home and sleep for 2 hours and then show up to give a pitch to an investor, which is like waking up at 11 p.m. to to give a pitch to an investor. I lost a lot of sleep. I had to get real creative when I was where I was doing things. Sometimes take a call in my car and turn the background on to make it look right, like I wasn't in my car, because back then it wasn't cool to be doing things from your car, but now
Yes.
it's totally fine to film videos from there.
Mhm.
And but it was also a really neat era because I think that we all developed a lot of flexibility as the technology changed for us to communicate. And this would not have been feasible if I had to fly all across the country for every time I wanted to talk to someone. You
Yes.
know, I
Yeah.
like, I want to share a PowerPoint with them in a Zoom. That just wouldn't have been possible. So it was a bit of serendipity, and we began this before the pandemic, and we've just been going full steam ahead.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, there's people, you talked about the power of the pivot. There's been many people that had to pivot during the pandemic,
Hmm.
and some people were successful at it, some were not. And I've watched them in business. And the ones that are able to stay flexible and to look at the challenges as opportunities
Hmm.
rather than obstacles. And I think that's very important as well. Well,
Hmm.
I just think this is great. We can talk more and more.
Yeah.
Did you have something that you wanted to offer to our listeners so that they can get in touch with you? How would they get in touch with you? And if you had an offer, now's the time to share it.
So if you want to email me, it's modris at upenn.edu. To maximize my time, I would like occasion. Well, I even just did this the other day. I like to do Zoom calls with groups of people, and then I can kind of like answer a lot. Everyone can learn from each other, so that would be something I would be open to. Um, I don't have any particular. I don't have any particular offer per se. Vasowatch is still in, I would say, like in pre-production. We're hoping to do a pilot, getting that started soon, and we're working on our last $450,000 raise for that. Um, and I don't know what else to say.
Well, if you listen, if you're listening and maybe you're thinking about starting your garden because spring will
Oh
be here
yeah,
before we know it, um, give us that information for your garden business, and if you
sure.
wanted to do a promo for that, go right ahead.
Sure, that is really easy. It is www.americangardentools with an S.com. And also we cater to everything. That's one of the fun things too. And I bring my nursing mind into it. And if I see someone who's older and tiny, I'll suggest something to them. And if they're taller and 6'2", I suggest something else to them, just thinking about the body. But please visit me on my visit me on that site. Send me a little shout out, or send me a little email on there on the contact page. And if you do, I'll send you a code, because I don't have the code off the top of my head right now, but send me a message on there and I'll send you a code. I'll
I'll
do
be
that.
sure I'll be sure to get the code from you, and I'll put it in
Yeah.
the show notes
Yeah.
for when the podcast is released, so that you can get the information for both businesses and get back in touch with Stephanie as you will. I want to thank you for your time. This has been a very great segment. There's a lot. I'm sitting here thinking, wow, I've got some notes to write up here because there's just so many great nuggets that you just share with us. And so I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Tina. This was incredible. I really please, like, there are awesome resources for everyone. Sunseal is a great resource. SONSEIL. That's for nurses. There's also the Vive conference taking place out in Los Angeles next month. That's for nurse innovators. There is so much bubbling up where they realize that there is so much brain power that we have to help solve many, many problems. So please be there. Nurses deserve to be at the table all over the place, in public health settings, on boards, in schools, in businesses. You will solve problems in a different way, and we need that.
We certainly do. Well, this has been the Nurse
Mhm.
Shark Academy show. I want to again remind you that if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe hit the notification bell to let you know when we have our new episodes coming out. If you're listening to us on our audio podcast, where you can get it Podbean or wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to leave us a comment. We appreciate your comments. If there's any suggestions, you have nurses that you think that should be on the show, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk with them. I want to thank you again for tuning in, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you.
Ready to turn your nursing skills into a thriving business? At the Nurse Shark Academy, we give you expert strategies, real startup guidance, and the support to go from employee to empowered entrepreneur. Join us and build the nurse-owned business of your dreams. Start today and join us at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.